Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are looking at the ongoing conflict, the ongoing situation between China, the People's Republic of China, and Taiwan. Over the last 2 or 3 days, we have heard the U.S. Navy, specifically high-ranking naval personnel, discussing the prospect that China may have moved up its timetable for a possible quote-unquote military invasion of Taiwan. So when we say China may have moved up its military timetable, what does that mean? Does it mean that we could face sooner, meaning 2022, 2023, an amphibious invasion, an all-out invasion of Taiwan, as opposed to an invasion in 2025 upwards to 2027, such as the original timetable indicates? Or could this be a change in military strategy by the Chinese? And I would say at this point, what we're looking at is not necessarily a timetable move of an all-out Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Again, the Chinese don't have that kind of capability. We would see the buildup of forces, meaning we, the United States. Taiwan would see the buildup of forces. And in all probability, with U.S. assistance, said Chinese amphibious operation to seize the main island of Taiwan would be a disaster for the Chinese. They just couldn't do it. Now, that's not to say that they could that they don't have the capability of bringing an immense amount of military pressure against Taiwan in other forms. And I think that timetable is not just an adjustment of the timetable, but it's the rethinking of the Chinese military strategy against Taiwan. Look, any military engagement between China and Taiwan, and then eventually possibly the United States, would have massive economic ramifications. At the same time, the semiconductor industry, Taiwan Semiconductor, if you thought that there were supply chain issues now, you haven't seen anything if Taiwan is cut off from supplying the world with its microprocessors. It would reverberate around the world, and it would take the form of everything from televisions to smartphones to computers, and it would trickle down to every aspect of life in the United States. It would be horrendous. And I believe what the Chinese are looking at is the possibility of making a very painful blockade of Taiwan. Not necessarily a military amphibious operation where it physically seizes control of Taiwan. I think what we're looking at is large-scale ballistic missile strikes, cruise missile strikes, the use of massive amounts of drones, and then ultimately blockading Taiwan. I think that is the strategy if the Chinese have moved up its quote-unquote timetable for military options against Taiwan. Again, not a amphibious operation. We could see amphibious operations take place on some of the outlying islands. Even the Chinese seizure of the Pingao County or island chain, this area here. I'm not so sure the Chinese even have that capability at this point. I think for the Chinese, taking this island set right here closer to Taiwan than it is China would be a significant challenge that I'm not so sure China has the military skill set to physically take this area. Now, obviously, Kinmen and some of these other islands, I do believe the Chinese could conduct an operation and seize control of these islands closer to the mainland. But a all-out amphibious operation, especially against the mainland, much less some of these closer islands to Taiwan, I think are outside the realm of possibility for the Chinese. But again, a blockade, a disruption of the supply of goods coming in and out of Taiwan is possibly on the table. Now, would it be successful? Hard to say at this point. Very difficult to say, depending on how much the United States gets into this. And ultimately, that's the question. And giving the leadership that is currently in the White House, obviously, there are a lot of concerns. A lot of concerns. But that's where we sit today, and I think that's what we're hearing from the U.S. Navy. Not so much, again, this timetable of an amphibious operation against Taiwan, but a change in China's military strategy regarding how it would go about subjugating Taiwan. And I think it would be more of a long-term blockade-type operation as opposed to a kinetic, amphibious military operation against Taiwan at this point. Anyway, that's our 2 cents. So we'll have more very, very soon. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.